Hello and welcome everyone to Agency Growth Events Camp 2. Today we talk about there's more than one way to growth, and what we mean by that is we're going to be talking about mergers and acquisitions and how they can help grow your business. Now, this is a topic largely on every founder's mind at some point. What are my options on exiting? How do I exit a business? How do I scale up a business? What is my agency worth? Can I sell my agency or can I buy an agency? What are good multipliers in valuation and how do I go about it? So these are very valid questions, and we are very lucky to be in the presence of a very, let's say, star-studded cast today who will be speaking to us about this topic. We've compiled people from all sides of the deal table, and we're going to start off with Mr. Scott Leff. Scott is a principal at TobinLeff, a specialist M&A agency based in the US. Hi, Scott. Can you hear me?
I can, Barish. Thank you.
Great to have you here. Thank you for joining us. And
My pleasure.
Scott's going to be talking to us about what is an exit plan actually and why you need one. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you got to say, Scott. So over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Barish. It is a pleasure to be here, pleasure to be with all of you. Thank you to Agency Growth Events. I know the team has put together a great program today. I think you're going to enjoy it and get a lot out of it. I'm actually going to talk through a slide deck. So it will be running as I speak, so you'll periodically hear me say slide because I don't have the controller for it. That will be the key to advance. So why don't we get it started and bring up the deck? Great. What is an exit plan and why do you need one? And really, this title, the questions are in reverse order because for our purposes today, the more important question is really, why do you need an exit plan? It is an important tool for you. Slide. So usually these things begin with an agenda. We've got 15 minutes, so consider this the agenda given. You'll figure it out as we go along. I don't want to waste time with that. Slide. I will tell you, however, briefly about our company so you understand the context of why I'm addressing this topic. Slide. TobinLeff is a mergers and acquisitions and exit planning advisory firm. We were founded in 2010. We have 5 partners. David Tobin and I own the firm. 3 other very senior level consulting partners. We specialize in the digital marketing, communications, advertising, PR, and related space. Of our 145 plus engagements we've done, well over 90% have been in that broad vertical. I, in fact, have also was president of a digital and technology company that was spun out of Carnegie Mellon University. So that's all by way of saying we have been on your side of the desk, and I think it's important for you to understand that. Slide. What we do really is, you went the wrong direction. You went backwards instead of forwards with the slide. There we go. What we do is we are focused on helping you as private individual business owners take your years of investment of effort and sleepless nights into your business and convert that business into personal wealth. It's really about transforming a service business which doesn't have hard assets into retirement or reinvestment money for you. Slide. So let's start at the end. As I said, the really important question today is, why do you need an exit plan? Slide. Slide. Quite simply, you can't get someplace if you don't know where you're going. In your professional career, second only to the challenge and import of starting and building your business is likely to be the challenge and importance of figuring out how to transition out of your business effectively for you. Slide. Where are you going? when you leave that business? Slide. Are you planning to spend your time golfing at the foot of beautiful mountains? Slide. Maybe you're going to become a sail racer? Slide. Or maybe you're planning to leap off the cliff and start a new business. It doesn't really matter. Slide. The key is, and this is the beginning of why you need an exit plan, if you don't know where it is you're trying to get, how do you expect to get there? Slide. There are, as you can see here, 11 pathways, and there are others, but these are basic ones, different routes to exit that you might take. You might be selling to a strategic buyer who is in your field and is looking to acquire a company like yours to expand. You might be selling to a different kind of strategic buyer who isn't doing what you do, but sees your type of capabilities as being a synergistic addition. Maybe you're going to sell to a financial buyer like a private equity firm or a family office. Maybe it'll be an internal deal. Maybe you have staff that you'd like to transition the company to, or for financial reasons, that makes the most sense to do a management buyout. Perhaps it's an ESOP, an employee stock ownership plan. So many different alternatives face you that it's really important for you to have thought through which of these alternatives are the best fit for you to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish with your exit, and that are feasible with the firm you have. And so that once you've made that decision, you can put your effort into building strategically to optimize the results from that decision. Slide. Again, just to emphasize this a little more, if you don't know where you're going, how can you figure out the strategy for getting there? Slide. And in a self-reinforcing loop, if you don't know what strategy you need to be implementing, you're not going to arrive at the destination you want. This is at the crux of exit planning. Slide. So we're really talking about using an exit plan to optimize your future life. Slide. And to give you a little sense of what I mean by this slide, let's say that your exit plan determines you're going to sell to a strategic buyer. Well, then there are some critical things you're going to want to emphasize in the intervening time. Your client mix, your capabilities, how you position yourself so you're going to be most attractive to these buyers, and of course, your profit margins. Slide. On the other hand, maybe your plan is to sell internally, to a financial buyer, a private equity firm, for example. Well, now the main concerns change a little. They are driven even more so by your financial statements. Profit margins, of course, critical, but now size becomes even more essential because there are more established cutoffs that you will have to hit from a size perspective to even get on the radar of that type of buyer. Slide. Or maybe it's an internal deal you're thinking about. You want to sell to your own staff in a management buyout. Well, do you have the team in place that has both the desire and the skills to make that happen? Or do you need to build that team? And again, our old friend, profit margins. Slide. So let's look a little bit about this profit margin question and why it's so critical. Slide. How is your firm likely to be valued in a future deal? Well, again, it varies based on your exit plan and your desired route. If you're selling to a strategic buyer, some rules of thumb. Typically, the value will be a multiple of EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, or basically your free cash flow. Some price will be decided on. Then at closing, you're likely to get between a third and a half of that value in cash. The remainder will probably be based on some performance-based earnouts with some guarantees in there for buyer and seller that will be paid to you over 2 to 3 years. And there's likely to be a working capital requirement that the buyer is going to require be left behind in the business. Slide. If, for example, your buyer, your exit plan is to a private equity firm, then these parameters change a little bit. Now you're likely to get 60 to 80% of the deal in cash at closing. The remainder is probably going to be equity in what's called the platform that the private equity firm puts you into, which gives you what we call a second bite at the apple when that platform is hopefully arbitraged and resold in the future for a higher multiple. You'll get to participate in that as well. Again, there'll be a working capital requirement, but different exit pathways will bring with them different exit deal structures. Slide. But in all of them, profits matter. They are critical. So let's look at a simple example of how important profitability is and how it gets leveraged. Slide. Let's say you're a $3 million firm with a very modest 10% profit margin or EBITDA. So maybe you command a 4 times multiple. Well, 10% of 3 million means you're making 300,000. 4 times that, we have a purchase price of 1.2 million. So let's say you focus on profitability and move that margin up from a modest 10% to an attractive 20%. Not outlandish, but an attractive 20%. Slide. Now at 20%, your $3 million profits go up to 600,000, but also now maybe we push the multiple from a 4x to a 5x. So now at 600,000 times 5, we've pushed the price to 3 million from just increasing that profit margin from 10% to 20%. You have increased your price by 2.5 times. So profits really count. Slide. So getting back to then, what is in the exit plan to take us to this point where we can take advantage of all of these things? Slide. Well, there are many elements of an exit plan, but on a high level, we're going to establish clarity on what are your goals and objectives so that we build a plan and a strategy that is focused on meeting those as effectively as possible. That begins with analyzing your firm, both from a financial point of view and beyond that. We have a proprietary tool at TobinLeff called our value drivers analysis, which is 60-some criteria that we look at. Where are you strong? Where are you weak? What needs to be emphasized? And what needs to be emphasized in particular relative to optimizing the ultimate exit strategy you decide on? So you take all of that, you do some financial modeling. What's an estimate of the value of your firm now? What's an estimate of what the value could be in the future in different exit scenarios? What are your gaps? What are the strategic initiatives to put in place to take you from where you are now to where you want to be at the time of exit, whether it's next month or 5 or 10 years from now? Very importantly in all of this, thinking about backup, plan B, contingency, because it's wonderful, as you know, to put plans in place. The General Eisenhower, the US general during World War II, is supposed to have said, plans are perfectly useless, but planning is essential. So you put the exit plan in place, you have the ultimate goal, but it may not come to fruition. So part of the exit plan is we want to try and see if we can come up with what is our plan B. If the exit plan objective doesn't come through as we want, having a secondary plan in place to fall into to still try and get you a good result. Slide. Admittedly, that was a quick and high-level review, but I hope it gave you some idea of why exit planning is so important and what needs to go into an exit plan. I'm going to be around much of today for the conference and hopefully around outside of the conference for quite a long time after. Would love to talk further with anyone. Happy to meet up with you in the virtual meeting room today, or please get in touch with me. Thanks again, Agency Growth Events.
Scott, thank you. That was fantastic. And I'm going to permit myself to actually overspill into our networking time and ask you a question. I know you
Please.
finished bang on time. Thank you for that. But it really intrigued me. Just listening to this just reminded me of a birth plan we did for the delivery of our child. And we did this birth plan. We took it seriously. We want this. We don't want that. Da, 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 da. And we had to rip it apart at the hospital because it just didn't work. Can you tell us where exit plans go wrong, and in your experience of doing hundreds of them, I understand, what are the main challenges with founders when they are doing these plans on their own in isolation versus doing with someone like you, yourself, professionals?
Well, I would say a couple of things. Kind of looking at it holistically, where do they go wrong? Probably the the biggest challenge with any plan like this is you go through a planning process, you get excited, you get fired up, you have the plan, and then there it is. It's done on Friday. You get to the office Monday, and the fires start burning that you have to put out, and it's back to business as usual. And plans never get followed through because you're dealing with all the stuff you deal with day to day. So I think probably the biggest problem with the plans failing is not having accountability and ongoing feedback to keep your feet to the fire to do it. And that really segues into the other part of your question. That's one of the big values that an outside advisor, a firm, somebody else working with you on the exit plan can provide, is that accountability and a way to help you stay focused to do what it is you are trying to accomplish. And let me also just say, Barry's, having two sons who are in their 30s, it's wonderful that you did a birth plan, but forget it. It ain't going to happen.
You're absolutely right. Scott, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's early there. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Scott. You can find Scott on the virtual meeting room or through his booth. You can click on it. You should have received a notification about it. And you can talk to him. He's going to spend his time with us today. Thanks so much, Scott.
Thank you.
So with that, now we go to the first networking break of the day. Just to remind you, this is quickfire networking until 3:30 UK time. That is, and you will be able to meet people and mingle with peers. We will be back with Theo Green at 3:30 sharp. Looking forward to see you there.